Can Bernie Sanders beat Donald Trump in 2020? There was at least one poll that I saw showing that Bernie could actually beat Donald Trump. And one of the important details here is that 12% of Bernie voters voted for Trump in 2016. You also have to consider there were a lot of chaos votes. Bernie or bust people who didn't vote, who could vote for Bernie. And Trump beat Hillary by slim margins in some states that he needed to win and lost the popular vote. So the answer is a resounding yes, Bernie Sanders could do it. But I am not the expert. Don't trust me. Trust Obama's campaign manager. If there's anybody who ran a great campaign, it was Barack Obama, who won twice, did a good job. Of course, winning re-election isn't that difficult. He had the incumbent power. But Obama was charismatic and was able to sway middle Americans to voting for him. Unfortunately for Bernie Sanders, Obama campaign manager says Sanders cannot beat Trump in 2020. Excuse me. And in fact, another story has emerged. Why Trump will win in 2020 and it could be a landslide. Now here's the thing. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Trump. I'm not Trump derangement syndrome. I just kind of lean like, I don't like the guy. That's really about it. It's like if I was going to vote, I wouldn't vote for him. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to shriek at you. I'm going to be like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, I've sat down with people, they've explained it. I was more so a Bernie guy, but not so much anymore. I probably would not vote for Bernie. I might. But I probably wouldn't. I probably would not. I'm definitely not supporting him in this run because he endorsed Hillary, because he embraced identity politics. And it's not so much any one thing. I just feel like, I feel like he played the game too much and he lost what made him special and unique in 2016. So So here's what happens. I make a lot of videos and I'm very critical of the Democrats for a lot of reasons because I feel like they're essentially sabotaging themselves and any chance at a real conversation. And whether it's the censorship issue or for whatever reason, you look at the political landscape and you'll see someone like a staunch conservative like Ben Shapiro willing to have a conversation and challenge you and have that real conversation with, like he did with Yang. And you don't see that on the left. They talk about racism and immorality, and it feels like a nonsensical conversation. Unfortunately for me, if I want to have a debate over my beliefs and get someone in office that I think would represent my views, I don't have anybody on the left I can talk to. Certainly not Bernie Sanders. Well, let's see exactly what happened. Appearing on the Wednesday episode of ABC's Powerhouse Politics podcast, former Deputy Chief of Staff and 2012 campaign manager for President Barack Obama, Jim Messina, stated that he doesn't believe Senator Bernie Sanders can beat Trump in 2020. Messina first noted that Sanders would likely be one of the final 2 or 3 candidates in the Democratic primaries, due in part to his team, which over the last 4 years, in delegate meeting after delegate meeting and DNC meeting after DNC meeting, got the rules changed in a way that really, really helped Sanders. When host Jonathan Karl asked what it would mean for the Democrats to nominate Bernie Sanders, Messina spoke about the internal struggle currently roiling the candidates, which has to do with the direction in which to take the party. Moderate. At least, not even necessarily moderate. It's an issue of opposing identitarianism. Get away from Ocasio-Cortez. For the love of God, Democrats, she is burning you down. She says ridiculous things. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Her proposals are nuts. She's not doing the left or the center a favor, and she's part of this new sect of progressive identitarians. And of course, the left goes, no, she isn't, dude. Read the Green New Deal. How many progressives have I talked to? And I'll say, did you read it? And they're like, no. I'm like, maybe you should read it, because the second page talks about all this ridiculous identitarian nonsense. He then pointed out, however, that 61% of Democrats say the most important issue in the Democratic primary for president is who can beat Donald Trump. This, according to Messina, is a point of contrast between the politicians and the average Democratic voter, who simply wants to know who can best win the 2020 election. This prompted Karl to ask, can Bernie Sanders beat Donald Trump? Messina swiftly replied, no. I will point this out. Excuse me. I'm reading the Daily Wire. So they're certainly highlighting this point, but it is important to then stress we're talking about an ABC podcast. So this is mainstream. I don't want to I'm not here to play any silly, stupid games about propping up a conservative or liberal narrative that what is listen, this is ABC, okay? We're having a real conversation about whether or not Bernie Sanders can win, and I'm kind of leaning towards he can't for many reasons. Like I pointed out, we got this other story from April 3rd. Trump's going to get a landslide, and I think it's going to happen. You don't have to cry about it. You don't get on your knees and scream no about it. You just say, all right, well, Trump played his hand better than Hillary, and he's got the incumbent power behind him now. So let's think about what we can do as rational individuals with left of center politics to present a better argument than Trump. Guess what? They're not. They are not presenting a better argument. Andrew Yang, in my opinion, is. But I also don't know if he has what it takes to beat Trump either. I really don't think Yang would be able to beat Trump. And it's a matter of the president isn't just someone who's going to set policy. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And what a lot of people on the left they fail to realize is that part of the appeal of Trump is not just him saying, I will bring your jobs back. Because did Hillary Clinton go to these manufacturing areas and say, I'm going to help you out? No, of course not. In fact, she spoke in the other direction about free trade agreements. But you've also got Trump, who is, in my opinion, oafish. He's kind of a strong-headed, kind of an asshole. But here's the thing. I can say that to someone on the left, and they're like, of course he is. But you have to recognize that attitude he holds it exudes power. You look, if you had to pick someone to protect you in a fight, are you going to pick the dude wearing the nice button-up shirt saying, listen, I'm going to take care of you? Or the bigger guy who's going, this guy's a moron. He's a moron. I'm going to beat them all up. It's like, listen, I feel like this is one thing that's greatly missed. Law enforcement, the executive branch, and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. That's Trump. And there are a lot of people who are going to look at him and say, that guy's going to beat your ass. I'm not going to vote for the little scrawny old man. Sorry. That's a factor as well. When people are voting for a president, they're not necessarily voting on policy. They're voting on character, charisma, and whether or not they think you're going to stand in front of them and protect them. And Trump's a big guy. Not every president is a big person. Of course, it doesn't have to be true. I'm just pointing out that is a factor that people don't seem to realize. And so you got to make sure you look at, Bernie Sanders, who's got, I think, 7 years on Donald Trump. He's about to be 80. Is he going to serve 2 terms? Probably not. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm absolutely much more of a fan of Bernie than I am of Trump. But let's be real, man. Let's be realists. Bernie is an older dude. So is Trump, but Bernie is still much older. Trump can serve a 2nd term and leave when he's 76. Bernie, 79 now, he's going to be what, in 2 years, 81? Or I'm sorry, Trump wouldn't leave when he was 70, he would be 78. Bernie's going to be, 88 or 87 by the time, he's out? Actually, no, it's 2 years from now, so he's going to be 89 or 90. It's like, yeah, it's not, I don't think Bernie's the right choice. And it's one of the reasons why I publicly said I was going to donate to Tulsi Gabbard, because she's staunchly anti-war, which is one of my strongest points. You guys know, you watch my content, like the war thing is really what gets me. The domestic policy stuff I kind of shrug at for the most part. But you get someone up there who's going to say no to war, I'm going to be like, all right, what did Donald Trump do? Well, they had a resolution that was bipartisan to end our backing of the Saudi-led Yemeni war, and Trump vetoed it. So it's kind of like, come on, man. It's tough. I know. It's in international foreign policy. It's complicated stuff. So, but you know what? We get it. Bernie Sanders, he's doing well. He's in the front of the pack. But let's talk about this. Why Trump will win in a landslide. All right. Tell me why Trump will win a landslide. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. It's a redirect to The Spectator. This is actually a second article. There's another article I talked about. I think it was Politico. But let's just, I want to get to the point. Harold Wilson was right that a week is a long time in politics. But hey, watching the president in Grand Rapids the other night and taking a gander at some recent polls, I'm willing to ascend pretty high up the old backyard oak, shimmy along a well-placed branch and say with confidence, if not quite certainty, Donald Trump will win the 2020 presidential election and win handily. Handily? But the New York Times, Washington Post, Chris Matthews, James Comey, John Brennan share CNN, those pathetic females on The View. Well, I don't share that. They're allowed to have their opinions. College professors across the country, yada, yada, yada. They tell me it's impossible. Still, I will bear up and yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's get to the point. I admit that it is quite a team on the anti-Trump side. I understand that the 30,000 cheering supporters who showed up in Grand Rapids the other day can be fickle. Not only that, they are completely unrepresentative of opinion in Ann Arbor, the borough of Manhattan, the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts, or the commune known as Berkeley, California. Nevertheless, contingent upon certain realities, I am confident. Let's see what you got. The stock market. It stood at 18,000 and change when Donald Trump was elected president. It closed yesterday a few points shy of 26,000. I like to back up my points with proven authorities. So let me call upon Paul Krugman, economist extraordinaire, Nobel laureate and columnist for our former paper of the record, New York Times, who, when asked on November 9th, 2016, when the stock would recover from the insult of Trump's election, and he said probably never. Oh, well, we all make mistakes. But here's the thing. The stock market, like the weather, does vary. It goes up, it goes down. Over the long, look, there are a lot of people who bet, like in Vegas, like made a bet Trump would win, and they got huge returns. So, okay, stock market. All right. Economic growth. We got economic growth. The White House put it at 3.1%. Other sources say 2.9. However you slice it, okay. Unemployment is at generation lows. Lower taxes. However, as we saw, Matthew Iglesias tweeted out how progressive groups convinced Americans they got a tax increase instead of a tax cut. So I don't know if they're gonna. Look, perception is everything, and if they don't even know they got a tax cut, judicial appointments is good news, but still potentially bad press. The president's long-running fight against illegal immigration, yes, if he wins. Speaking of symbolic achievements, there's also Israel. Yeah, okay, maybe. He says resuscitation of our military, maybe. Like, I'll give a few points here. President Trump's overtures to North Korea and his determination to stand up to China are risky but necessary. I agree with that too, but I don't think Kim Jong-un's given him the respect that he thought he was going to get. So I'll push back on some of these points. We've heard time and time again Trump was looking at a landslide. I do agree with that point because of the economy. Economic growth in the stock market alone are probably going to hand this one to Trump. And if it's Bernie Sanders who goes up against Trump, I'm going to have to agree with Obama's campaign manager and defer to the expert. Obama campaign manager ran a hell of a campaign, okay? He was chief of staff and 2012 campaign manager for President Barack Obama. He's our expert here. He would know. And if he's saying Bernie can't do it, if Bernie's in the front of the pack, I think Trump's going to take it, and I think Trump's got everything on his side. So stick around. I got some more videos coming up in a few minutes. I will see you then.